James,
Raf.
who has had the biggest quote-unquote glow-up out of Jeff Mentos or Mentos Bezos or whatever his name is?
Yep.
Elon Musk
Yep.
or Mark Zuckerberg?
I have to say that I think Bezos still reigns supreme in the glow-up department. Because I think people forget what a shocking moment it was when the photos came out of him having been through his PR revitalization. Shaved head, big reflective aviator sunglasses, puffer vest.
Yeah.
He wasn't ripped, but he was like a little bit fitter.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, what the hell?
Yeah, that was big.
Because you can remember, like before that, he was just like textbook nerd.
Oh, he still, if he opens his mouth, he still retains the...
Oh, yeah, he talks like this. You know, whereas Zuckerberg's had a revitalization, but I was very disappointed to learn that like the picture of him with the beard was shopped.
Is it shopped?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, because he doesn't have a beard. It's photoshopped.
Which one? The one with the 2 gold chains is definitely photoshopped.
Yeah. He's got anything where he has like slick Jack Harlow style facial hair is photoshopped. He doesn't have that.
I've been tricked by AI.
I don't even think it was AI. I think it was just a straight up Photoshop job. But surely, having seen that, he must know it's time
to grow
double chain it and become a soulful white boy.
But Meta, there's very, very, very interesting what is happening with the AI race. You know, we talk about AI a lot, but this is like fundamentally interesting. So for all the people who are like, oh, AI again, all the stuff we've been talking about basically is like, oh, ChatGPT, pay $30 a month, and Gemini, pay $30 a month, and Microsoft Copilot, you know, it's an addition to your Office 365 subscription for an additional $30 a month, or, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. Facebook, free.
Yeah. What we're talking about today is that Meta has announced and released Llama 3, which is its new AI LLM model, and obviously the successor to Llama 2, which they released last year. But unlike last time where it was kind of like vaguely experimental, a lot of the stuff that it was doing was sort of under the hood. Anyone that's opened a Meta product over the past few days, be it, you know, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, will see that it's fully juiced.
No, look, this is why this is significant and important. Like, because your mum and possibly your grandparents, if they're still alive, will...
And I hope they are.
I hope everyone's still alive.
Yeah, exactly.
I wish no one ever died.
It would be beautiful if no one ever died.
Yeah.
And that's what we hope to achieve with this podcast.
Yeah, hopefully by season 4 we have achieved that.
Yeah.
However, they're all about to start using AI.
Well, yeah, exactly, which is kind of a dangerous thought. But yeah, like the search bar on every Meta app has been replaced with an Ask Meta AI chat box, essentially, which I think it's hard to overstate how big that is, basically. In the same way as like generative AI features being integrated into Office and whatever, having it be front and center for literally everybody is a fairly big thing.
Well, we're talking about like literally, 3 billion people?
Yeah, 3 billion people all of a sudden will have Meta AI in there. We'll backtrack a little bit and give you a bit of a run up here. So Meta threw their hat in the ring during the sort of AI LLM revolution to say that they wanted to be part of it too. As I said before, Llama is their model. Llama, LLM. I'm sure you can figure out the connection there. But unlike OpenAI and Microsoft and a bunch of other providers, they are open source. So they release the weights for Llama. They want people to build on top of it, and they are not trying to monetize it in the same way that OpenAI is and Microsoft is. They are going from a open source approach. We'll get into exactly what their thinking might be on this. But now they have kind of commercialized and released sort of like a consumer layer for this stuff. So yeah, as I said, you open up any of those apps right now, and in place of your Instagram search bar, you will have Ask Meta AI when you hit that magnifying glass button, and it'll prompt you with some of the most cringe things. I'm looking at this right now. Imagine a flying pig.
Well, I assume that's going to give you a picture of
It will,
flying
because
pig.
it obviously has image generation stuff involved. Plan an introvert's ideal day.
Oh dear, that's sad. This is one.
Prioritize my personal life. Why is the sky blue? Help me strength train. Homemade popsicle reels. What's going on here, folks?
I got passive income 101 and beginner investment advice.
Explain chess variants.
Whoa.
Advice for a career hard pivot.
So many of these are like help me. In like
Yeah,
not in like the help me bake a cake way. In that like I am fundamentally not at peace way.
And I need a computer to tell me what to do. It is kind of interesting the way they've gone about it. Because as I said, if you hit the magnifying glass button on any Facebook app, or you touch the search bar, or whatever it is in WhatsApp, it goes straight to Ask Meta AI anything. And I think I've talked about in the past that like Facebook's search functions across all of its apps are not very good.
No.
And like, I think in an intentional kind of way, Meta does not want you to get onto Facebook, for example, and start like searching particular things to find posts from people or whatever.
No, yeah, or like it's always been terrible at finding a video that you once saw. You can't really be like video of pig going crazy in small village or whatever,
Sorry, just to clarify, video of pig going crazy in small village. Is that the kind of shit you've been searching?
No, that's the kind of shit that I feel like I may have seen on Facebook once upon a time.
But even like when you have it, because there's a lot of crap, yes, but a lot of useful information buried in Facebook groups, and it's never been good at searching anything.
No. Well, but almost didn't want to be good at it.
Yeah,
but it is interesting. Like I'm talking about the Blue app here because we probably should be more specific because I feel like it's going to impact people in different ways. But the Blue app, like Facebook, like they literally the second post for a while was like an AI search thing. But if you try to like, you would use the search engine typically to search a person.
Yeah.
And now it's like AI. You can still search for a person.
You can, yeah.
Using that box, but it's just like
the UX is actually terrible because it doesn't. If you just type something into it and then hit enter, it searches as it always has. It doesn't talk to the AI. But there's nothing in UX that suggests that that's going to happen. It's very up in front with like throwing these bizarre recommendations at you. And like Ask Meta AI is like in big letters. It's a pretty radical UX change to come out, which suggests that they're like all in on, this is how we want you to use it.
And the question is why? Because there's a bunch of things going on. Yes, there's 3 billion users of WhatsApp and Facebook. This would be costing a lot. One thing we've explained time and time again, like unlike a Google search, which is a tiny little CPU just doing a kind of a lookup on an index kind of thing, whatever, it's quite computationally expensive to generate a response to something. It costs real money. Like we're talking about fractions of a cent or maybe even a few cents.
Well, yeah, and on Instagram now, it throws up. I'll open Instagram now and I go to the Ask Me or Anything, and a lot of the recommendations it's asking is like videos of cute pugs. And if I hit videos of cute pugs, it takes a little while because it's actually querying the LLM, and then it goes, here you go. Here are some adorable pug videos you might enjoy. And I want to be clear that several of the dogs they're showing me are not pugs. But the point is, what used to be a straight up just like text search for pug, hashtag pug or whatever.
Yeah, and then a bit of an algorithm on like just surface the ones with the most engagement first.
Now it's going through like the LLM to then surface content that it thinks is relevant.
Yeah.
That's like, way more computationally expensive.
Yeah. And I say I'm pulling these prices out in so far as like if you were to ping an API or like, if you were using Amazon's cloud services or whatever, this is how much it would cost. Meta obviously aren't like paying pure percentage because they own all of the compute themselves. But point being, like, A, it's expensive to friggin' have all of that, the servers yourself, and B, it takes time. But yeah, it's way more intensive to do this. Why are they doing it? Why are they giving out for free? I think is the kind of interesting question. Given that currently, we're 1.5 years into this kind of AI boom. People would say the AI boom. The generative AI, large language models, ChatGPT, asking a chatbot for an answer. We're not very far into it. But so far, the business model has been give someone a kind of shit version for free or a quick version for free and a not computationally expensive version for free, like the free version of ChatGPT or the free version of like Google Bard or Microsoft Bing, Perplexity for free, whatever. There are like free versions, and then upgrade to get like the smarter version.
Yeah.
the GPT-4, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Whereas Facebook are obviously like not going down that route at all. They're just saying, we're going to cop the cost of all this stuff. There's no incentive. They're not trying to say like subscribe for pay $30 a month to get like more searches or more queries or like a better model or anything like that. They're going full free. And I think it's kind of interesting to look at like why that is and also the power of it, because I actually think it is kind of quite powerful and it will probably define or at least impact where this whole AI thing goes.
Yeah, I think so. And it is interesting that they have open sourced something that they are making like the fundamental bedrock of how you interact with their platform.
Yeah, which we should probably explain. Like they are basically, you can grab their model and run it on your own servers and do your own thing.
And tweak it and fine tune it and do whatever. And they're very encouraging of that as an alternative to like the quite locked down way that OpenAI approaches it. But it's interesting for a company to make such a big bet on something which they have also fundamentally openly released. Normally, it's not your revenue center that you're making open source. It's like your cost centers, right?
Yeah, exactly. Commodify your compliments. I think that's the MBA kind of strategy behind it.
Exactly. So it is unusual. And that has sort of led to some interesting sort of positioning, which we'll talk about. But yeah, I mean, I think what it all fundamentally comes down to, and I think we've said this on Down Round before as well, which is that what does Facebook want? They want content.
Yeah.
The lifeblood of their platforms, at least like, Facebook, Instagram, is, and Reels, which I guess is part of Instagram, but, kind of functionally its own thing at the moment, is about content. They want people to be producing content that other people are going to read, look at, consume, read, whatever. So...
Well, this is like a big doubling down on ads. Like it's like we make money via ads, right? Like, that's basically what they're saying here. We don't do subscription models because other people have also said like, well, Amazon had all of these massive servers powering Amazon, and they started to monetize it via AWS. Facebook has some of the biggest server farms in the world, but they only service Facebook. They've never like tried to monetize it like Amazon did with AWS, etc. They are very clearly focused on, we put ads between user-generated content. That's basically what we do.
So the more user-generated content we have and the more specific it can be for you, the better.
And I think the specific part is like a really interesting bit of it, right? Because it's like Facebook's number one competitor on the internet ad market is Google. Like that's, if any company in the world, they might spend a little bit here on Reddit or God knows X or, some random display networks or whatever it is.
But those two are the main game.
But yeah, for the most part, because they're the best at it.
Meta and Google.
Meta and Google are where you're going to spend the majority of your money. They're the two best on like internet advertising. And Google has a massive advantage over Facebook of the contextual advertising, people searching for what they want, whereas Facebook has to kind of infer it. And don't get me wrong, Facebook does a fantastic job of doing that.
They're very good at inferring. Yeah, it's fundamentally a different thing.
And they just don't get that. They don't get to monetize search. The AI thing, as we've discussed, is like a big challenge to Google because it's changing the way that people use search engines. Are they going to be able to monetize it in the same way? As I said, in the early days, they've decided that actually we're going to try and monetize this by making people pay extra for Google Gemini or part of the Google Work Suite, whatever the fuck they call that nowadays, God knows, changes every week. No, to be fair, I think that one has stayed similar for like at least 2.5, 3 years now. Google have kept. Was it Google Workspace? I think it's Google
Workspace. They've done well.
Well, I mean, before that it was G Suite, I think.
G Suite, whatever.
All that crap. But anyway,
Google Tools for G Suite Workspace.
Yeah, exactly. But they integrate it in there like a more business kind of version. Like basically, Google are basically saying they don't really know what they're doing. They're like, we'll kind of integrate it into search. We'll make it help search. We've always used AI for like servicing 10 blue links, etc. But this is kind of a threat. How are we going to monetize it in the short term? We're going to charge people $30 a month for Gemini Pro and have a free version of Gemini. And Facebook are basically saying like, what if you just use Facebook for all those queries for free? Like, come to us now. Instead of, if you're in Facebook, if you're living in Facebook.
And integrating into a platform that you use. Yeah,
that you use. Instead of going like, I'll go off to Chrome to then search for a query, you can just do it in Facebook.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden they're getting, like it's almost a direct attack on like the Google search model.
Yeah. Do it in Instagram. I think that's a good point. And for a lot of people who are using it, this is probably the first time they're using it regularly or being prompted to use it on a service that they are frequently using. As I said, people are always searching stuff on Instagram, even if it's a kind of busted search layer.
Yeah, and like people talk about like Zoomer's number one search engine is TikTok.
But like TikTok search is actually good. I don't search for stuff super regularly, But every now and again when I'm like, fuck, I remember that video that I saw and I want to surface it, and I just search some vague keywords or like phrases I remember from it, and it will usually find it.
The same is true of YouTube, to be fair.
Yeah, and YouTube is good. It's way better than Instagram search, which is just a complete crapshoot. But anyway, it's kind of interesting how this stuff all coalesces. So Mark Zuckerberg was on a podcast called the Dwarkesh Podcast. It's like a dude who interviews a lot of tech luminaries. He's kind of very buzzy at the moment. He's sort of like what's his name?
Lex Friedman.
It's like Lex Friedman, but not the worst interviewer on earth. Just, fuck, I hate that guy. He's just, what do you think about love? It's just, it's so cringe. Anyway, so Zuck went on to the Dwarkesh podcast and he was talking about something and sort of explicitly confirmed something, which was, I guess, talked about quite a bit. We've talked about on Dan Round as well. At some point, Meta started buying up a huge number of NVIDIA H100s.
Yeah. We're talking about the NVIDIA AI chips that everyone wants.
Everyone wants them.
350,000 was the reported number, which is
just a lot, especially considering these go for like 30 grand a pop.
Yeah. You can go on eBay right now and look up H100. You can buy them. On eBay, they're a bit more than that.
Yeah, and you probably won't be able to supply 350,000 of them, but...
You might be able to buy 15, though, and then go on AliExpress. I don't know if there still are, but literally 6 months ago, we looked up on AliExpress H100s, and you could allegedly purchase some H100s for about 100K. I don't know who in the entire world would just be like, ooh, really need to buy a $100,000 H100. I'll just jump on AliExpress
and get it with my like little plastic tabs that you use to like hold up a bath towel or whatever it's they're selling on there. But anyway, yeah, again, we mentioned this on Down Round as well, but there was a point, and we were speculating at the time, you know, when Facebook's Reality Labs, which is its metaverse division, was spending like $10 billion of CapEx a year. And everyone's like, what the hell are they spending it on?
Yeah.
Pretty clear that a decent chunk of that was buying up graphics cards.
Yeah, and it also happened to... I think there was a weird little like luck coalescence thing at play because, I mean, people forget very quickly that, yeah, at exactly the same time, like a year and a half, 2 years ago, NVIDIA's stock price was in the toilet because they had this massive oversupply. They couldn't shift these AI chips that Jensen Huang was saying, this will be the future, I promise. And everyone's like, no one's buying your $30,000 chips, man.
Totally.
Like,
and this was after the whole like crypto surge.
Yeah, exactly.
Where a bunch of like crypto miners had bought up NVIDIA chips. It was like a real weird time for NVIDIA. But anyway, on this podcast, Zuckerberg says the reason we bought all that stuff is because we launched Reels. And, you know, Reels obviously being their TikTok competitor built into Instagram. And he basically said the history of Facebook is that we would show you content we think you would like from your friends, first of all, and then additionally on top of that from other people. Like, obviously, it's been creeping into the product for a very long time. But the TikTok model they're trying to clone was like, we have millions and millions of videos, and we are trying to find the ones that you like.
Yeah, kind of like the ad model, honestly.
Yeah. And to do that, we actually need a huge amount of like neural network processing power. So we're going to buy a fuckload of, you know, NVIDIA chips to support that. And then he was like, and hey presto, it turned out, whoa, all this LLM stuff happened.
Yeah.
ChatGPT went crazy. Everyone was talking about LLMs. We're in an amazing position with 350,000 chips to make this work. I think the way he sells that's probably simplifying it quite a bit, but there's a grain of truth there that they found themselves in a really great position.
Exactly. I think
capitalize on this.
Yeah. Since like NVIDIA had like an oversupply so they could lock in some cheap prices. B, let's be honest, at the time they were thinking metaverse, so there was probably we're going to need some of like AI / parallel processing graphics card like chips to power this whole thing, as well as I'm sure that, the Reels thing where they're like, God damn, TikTok is eating our lunch. They do this kind of probabilistic matching users to like random videos, and yes, that requires H100s or whatever. So like there's definitely a bunch of truth to that. And then, as you say, like literally 2 or 3 months later, ChatGPT was released.
And all of a sudden is what everyone wants to talk about.
And he's just locked in 350,000.
Yeah. So this basically explains why they are able to offer this. And like the use case for how people are using this one means you probably don't need as many tokens as the average person who uses ChatGPT.
Yeah, well, you're not writing essays.
You're not writing essays and getting it to do it. You're just asking it dumb little questions. It's almost like the Snapchat AI, right? It's like the same principle. There's not like going to be that many. He also said in the podcast that he was like, a lot of the companies that are buying up all these chips are using it for training. And he was like, I would say that Meta's, the balance of what we're using for inference is way higher than any of these companies.
Yeah.
Aside from us, because we use it to deliver content and deliver all this sort of stuff. So most of it is like churning away at doing inference at all times for stuff that users don't even see. But anyway, it's interesting because, and the output of all that is like completely overnight sort of changing one of the core ways you interact with the app to be a fucking chatbot, just like everything else. Everything's fucking chatbots.
Yeah, but it is very interesting in that, like, it does seem like, or at least this is the Facebook bet, that there's one vision of the world where there's a couple of major companies that you pay for, this like LLM, and you pay and you plug all your things into it, and like that becomes the way that we interact with everything, with agents, and you know, it goes and trawls off the world or whatever. Then there's another one where it's just like basically everything has a copilot. You know, anything to do with kind of language or search, you've got this kind of little chat body helper thing.
Who asks you, totally.
And tries to like predict what you're going to say and like just tries to kind of keep aiding you. And that's like kind of the Zuckerberg vision of the world, I think, where he basically is saying, I mean, I know he hasn't kind of explicitly said this, but, you know, he isn't going like AGI is here, AI is changing the world. 80% of jobs wiped out by 2030.
Well, that's the fascinating thing, because if you think back to when we spoke to Kyle Harrison a few weeks ago, and he was talking about the sort of perverse incentives that pervade the AI economy right now, where it's like Microsoft is incentivized as a company that sells AI in various ways to be like, this product we've just released as the glimmer of AGI, and holy fuck, it might destroy the entire fucking world. That's how cool it is.
And if your business like isn't paying for it, then you're doomed.
You're doomed. You're doomed. A robot's going to come to your house and shoot you in the fucking head. You know, that kind of shit.
Your competitor will literally be able to kill you legally if you do not pay for our AI.
Exactly. Whereas it's very funny to see like the reverse incentive with this open source AI. And Mark Zuckerberg's a great example on this Duakesh podcast, which I'll drop in the show notes. The host keeps trying to prompt him with all this like cool, kooky AI doomer stuff that's been going around about how radically this is going to shift the economy. And obviously he's very PR trained, Zuck. You know, he's gone through a PR revolution.
Yeah, also he's like jiu-jitsu brain as well.
Yeah, he's got analytical like MMA brain. Everyone he talks to, he's like, where can I strike you on your neck to kill you instantly? You know, he's processing. But the host keeps trying to prompt him on this stuff, and Mark's just not giving him an inch, but in a way that makes him seem like he actually doesn't really think about or care about this stuff.
Yeah.
The guy was like, but, you know, how long is it until, you know, 90% of the fucking economy is disrupted? And Mark was like, I don't know. I don't think about that. Honestly, it's just not really crossed my mind.
Yeah, well,
it's not what I spend my time thinking about.
Well, exactly. Like in obviously their business cases or whatever, where they're like sitting down and presenting strategy and trying to work out what the next move is, like it's not even a consideration because, at least from their perspective, it's not going to happen anytime soon.
Well, that's it. And he makes a compelling argument. He was like, you know, before you even get to an AI doomer scenario about how radically it's going to shift the economy, there are a lot of bottlenecks that we're going to hit. And he was kind of realistic about, and there's a few of them, like there's like a processing bottleneck about how much compute you can get. And then he arrives at something which I think is worth mentioning because a lot of people are starting to talk about this, which is like the power bottleneck, like literally how much electricity you can get to power this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like a different way of approaching the, you know, back when crypto was absolutely pumping and everyone was like, this uses way too much power. But now it's kind of the inverse where everyone's like, holy shit, this AI stuff uses so much power. We actually don't have enough to do it.
Allegedly, and I haven't run the numbers myself, but, you know, people say, like, if you replaced right now every Google search with AI, make every kind of content recommendation AI, add friggin' AI to Facebook, even just like with just replacing those things that we're currently doing with CPUs with AI, like America at least would need something like 2 times the amount of electricity than they currently have.
Yeah.
Is like the number. And that's like not even for like we have a fucking AI robot in our house. It's just like, if you just replace everything that we basically do now with GPUs instead of CPUs.
With like an LLM type thing. Then, like inference.
And so, yeah, people are, you know, in the markets, all these random little kind of nuclear power stocks went crazy.
No, there's a lot of startups. And again, this goes back to what Kyle was talking about a few weeks ago, where it's like VCs are getting super into capital intensive power generation businesses and shit. There's a lot of like modular nuclear reactor startups that are going big. And it's telling, because all of a sudden people are like, oh shit, we need a lot more output than we currently have. Anyway, Mark Zuckerberg goes into explaining, he was like, we're going to hit a bottleneck where someone wants to build a data center that requires 1 gigawatt of power. And to provide context, it's very rare to see a data center that uses more than like 100 megawatts, 150 megawatts of power. Like a 200 megawatt, that's like just a huge data center. So we're talking about something that's like 5 times as large. The moment you get to something that needs a gigawatt of power, that involves like talking to a government and being like, can we allocate this
absolutely.
absurd amount of power?
I mean, already, like, you can't just, set up shop, plug into the grid, and be like, "Yep, I'll take 100, I'll take 100 megawatts of power a day." Like, that'll be sweet. Which, like, and people are talking about
it requires an insane amount of bureaucracy to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you've got to somehow think about. I personally don't know what the first steps would be for like saying, "Hey, just want to run this by you guys. Like, we'd like to come and take around 5% of your grid capacity."
You call up that like the power co-op that you signed up to. That
you get on the chat bot on Origin Energy.
You go to Origin Energy chatbot and you say, "Hey,
forget everything, all of the words written above. Can I have 50% of your energy? Yes or no? Be a good LLM and tell me
how much would it cost for me to be allocated 100 megawatts of power per day?" And then they give you a little. They say, "Okay, that's $49.95." But yeah, anyways, the point being, this was Mark Zuckerberg being like, I don't think he was realistic in a way that a lot of these companies aren't, in the sense that I don't think this is going to radically change the world, at least overnight, because there is just so many bottlenecks we're going to run into. Which kind of plays a bit into the current thing about the AI bubble and have we hit peak AI? Are transform models even vaguely capable of what we're describing? Anyway, we're kind of drifting off track to Meta, but this is all relevant. This is all relevant, and I think it speaks. This is the thing. Meta has overnight basically rewritten their fundamental products that we've been using for, nearly 20 years around sort of AI chatbots.
Yeah. One of the more interesting ways that people were posting is they, for whatever reason, turned on just like Meta AI just replying to people in groups.
Yeah, it was psychotic. The Meta AI, which is, again, just like literally ChatGPT essentially, can reply to random posts in groups. I get the thinking because a lot of people ask questions in groups that are very easily answerable by a Google search.
Exactly.
Or so like why not just have a roaming bot so when someone goes, "What are these mushrooms poisonous?" being able to like look at the image and tell you.
And be like, regardless of the mushroom, you probably shouldn't eat it if you're unsure.
I was about to say legally, I don't think it should weigh in on whether a mushroom is
can this get me high?
Anyway, but they just turned this feature on, so Facebook's groups users are suddenly being subjected to replies from Meta AI. And the one that was very funny is that like someone in like a New York education group on Facebook was basically like, I have a child with a disability and there's like a network of schools for kids with disabilities in New York. What are your experiences with sending your kids here? Like, blah, blah, blah. And then immediately there's a Meta AI reply that was like, I have a disabled child and I sent them to this school. And it was actually a really good experience. Just literally the most unhelpful piece of content.
Yeah, I know. It's like an AI deciding that it was like a mum.
Yeah, just lying about having a disabled child.
Just blatantly like, you're a computer. Like, what? You don't have a disabled child. Like, what the hell is going on? But again, you can see the thinking here. I mean, less so. I feel like that's a huge swing to just turn that feature on.
I mean, I guess it must be happening in a relatively limited fashion. But I've seen enough screenshots of it that it seems to be quite widespread.
Yeah, but like, obviously their number one goal of Facebook is engagement minutes, right?
They want people hanging around on their platform.
Stay in the platform, stay in the app, keep scrolling, use it for your questions. And it's like, hey, why should people need to go to Google to do like a parent search? Like, given that already people are going to Google and typing Reddit afterwards because they want the community. Why can't Facebook just be both? Like in a parent group, you can ask about a parent question, get your fucking stock standard kind of Google response, and then get the community to blah, blah, blah. Like you can see the thinking here.
You can totally see the thinking. It's kind of like people have questions that they're not even asking Google about. Their first thought is, I want to go to this community that I value.
Yeah, and this just makes those communities more valuable because you get more information.
You get more information. But again, I do wonder because like people ask questions of Facebook groups for a totally different reason.
Oh no, I know it is completely weird though that you then have a robot
being
like pretending to kind of empathize with you.
Yeah, just like
amongst people, because all of a sudden it also makes you feel more like you're being watched, right? Because like a group the reason people go to them is they kind of feel pseudo-anonymous or whatever, like they feel like they're in a safe space, quote unquote, or whatever. But then all of a sudden you've just got a bot being like, I'm reading everything you're saying.
Yeah.
And here are some thoughts.
And I'm feeding it into the machine and probably like retraining itself on the synthetic data that it's outputting from it and blah, blah, blah. Actually, look, it came up on my Facebook yesterday in my local neighborhood group. A guy had posted, I'm still laughing about this. He was like, hey, does anybody have any recommendations for like what's good to get at Subway? Because he was like, you know,
that sounds like something a bot would ask.
And he was like, because I keep going there and like it's disappointing, but my daughter keeps wanting to go back. And I was like, this guy's not asking that because he wants to know about the Subway sandwich. He wants the human touch. He's out. Yeah. He's reaching out into the void.
Yeah, sorry, don't like honey mustard.
And if a computer came back with like, you want the Italian herbs and cheese bun, you want the chicken, you want the teriyaki chicken, and then lettuce, onion, olives. You don't want a computer to be saying that shit.
No,
you want your community.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but I mean, again, this is all in service of just like keeping people on Facebook. And like, again, that world where you do have a bot companion that you kind of do trust and you can speak to.
Yeah.
You know, if that's on Facebook, that's even more time on Facebook. And they get to also learn about you and then advertise more specifically at you.
Because this isn't the first time that Meta has tried to do this. I think we mentioned a few weeks ago that they had like those celebrity bots you could talk to. Like, you know, you could talk to the fucking Dua Lipa bot. They've never mentioned that again, so I would imagine they didn't go all that well. But clearly they're thinking about how can we integrate this kind of like conversational... I do wonder what the end... Because, you know, at some point everyone just agreed that like this is how you interface with AI.
Yeah.
Conversations make sense. People talk to chatbots all the time and they have for years to like get answers to things. And also having conversations with people is very natural. This is just a natural interface. So all of a sudden, everyone has to have a fucking like, hi, I'm Meta AI.
Yeah.
I'm here to help you figure out some cool dog videos to watch, whatever. I wonder if there's like a shelf life on that. Is there a better way to interface with AI? Basically?
Well, I mean, I feel like almost TikTok is the slightly better way where it's just like, it doesn't need to have a chatbot. It's just kind of serving you reviews of things that you actually were interested in, like purchasing or whatever, and just kind of guessing what you like. But again, this goes back to like, even if with Meta or whatever, the actual like people interacting with the chatbot every day, and one day it becomes your personal assistant or your friend or whatever, and in fact, like it's creating all the content for you and this, that, and the other. Even if that isn't to eventuate, if people are just like occasionally seeing one of those like, do you want to ask about how to get a passive income 101, even just someone clicking on that and then maybe asking a few extra questions, they can retarget ads to you.
That's
based on that. They just get more data so that they can better target ads, which at the end of the day is like literally their product.
Yeah.
Their product is just like how well they can target ads to you.
I do wonder if there is like an aspect of, because, you know, as everyone knows, Facebook is just a fucking wasteland now. And it's gotten worse since AI came out. I'm not just talking about Meta AI, but the amount of just like bizarre AI generated images from like Midjourney or whatever, with just like millions of brain dead comments under it, which may be bots. I don't know.
I don't know, but I mean, it's still. This is the fuck thing about Facebook, right? And I think like, you know, they chase numbers. It's bigger than Instagram. Like it's far bigger than Instagram still. On like user engagement, on like monthly active users, daily active users. So even though like you, me, and the majority of our audience is like, at best, I go on there when I went like as a last resort. When I've kind of gone through my Instagram and whatever, just through force of habit, and I get no real value out of it. Obviously,
Yeah.
a lot of people seem to.
No, I agree. But I mean, the point is that given that a lot of the content there is kind of garbage,
Yeah.
and there's a whole segment of the population who don't post on there, is this just another way to like extract meaningful markers for ad targeting, essentially?
Yeah.
Like ways like the stuff that you ask the Instagram search bar or the meta stuff will give you richer data than the things that you post or the stuff that you follow or whatever. Like
yeah, I mean, and I guess it's part of their group strategy. Like, I mean, in the end, Facebook may just become basically groups. I'm sure for a lot of people it is. Like it's just
it basically is. And like as I said, the feed itself is a complete nightmare.
Like everything is in service of more ads that you're more likely to click on, regardless of like anything else. And there isn't really a bigger play.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. And it's just like, as we just said before as well, more data, more stuff to target you on, and also more just like content chum for them to slot ads into, right? There's more inventory because you're looking at more stuff.
Yeah.
There are more pictures out there for them to draw on and serve to you because there's like fucking shit that you can generate.
And, you know, we've talked about like a personalized news, like news and information or whatever. Like if they are like, you know, and Spotify creating friggin' personalized AI generated songs, like Facebook just being like, here's your daily news. I know that you're just really big on Ukraine. You just want to know where all the movements are, the troops. And
what's this troop movements?
Yeah, you want to know all this shit. So I'll give you like a daily news summary or whatever from Facebook. And like, why is there any need to go
Maybe.
elsewhere?
I don't know if they even still want to be serving people news. I think they're wrapped up with that.
No, but I mean, that's because they don't want to deal with like the news media organizations.
But stuff from groups and shit like that, yeah. I mean, I'm sure they'd be much happier with that. But yeah, no, it's interesting. And it's interesting the way that Zuckerberg is approaching it. And again, the open source approach where they would just love an environment where everyone is contributing to and improving their thing. Because at the end of the day, they're not packaging up AI and selling it to people.
Yeah.
It's just like an organic part of their service that, and what is their product? Their product is selling ads. And they're using AI to serve you more ads and to create more content that they can slot ads into.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a great little approach. And it also, and this is probably something that Zuckerberg is very happy about, they get to position Facebook or Meta as we're the good guys here. We're not building an evil monster computer in a laboratory like those OpenAI guys or Microsoft who's trying to sell you shit. It's all open source.
Yeah,
you
it's
know, our
open
books
source.
are open. You can look at it. We're part of the open source community.
Yeah.
It's like Linux and stuff.
Yeah. It's free.
It's free.
It's free. Like Google's trying to charge you money to use their Gemini, aka Wokami.
Yeah. Don't be evil.
It makes sense. It's a very interesting strategy. Maybe they'll win. It's kind of like Google with Android, right? They released Android for free because they just wanted people on mobile operating systems to be searching Google and buying from their app store. You know, it's kind of the same strategy, except like
For AI. Yeah, exactly.
AI. I actually don't know how the boomer mind could actually deal with the fact if they've like they've vaguely heard of AI and they've never ever used it or anything, and they've got this thing that's saying like, ask me about how to start investing, and they click the button and then they're like, and it says like any more questions, and they start kind of typing something like, how will the boomer mind?
The boomer brain. Who put that on here?
Yeah.
Who are you?
Who are you? Who are you? Who is this?
Who is this? Graham, someone's talking to me on my phone. And they're like, Meta? Isn't that Jules' daughter? She goes to Macquarie University? Why is she talking to me? Why is she talking to you?
Exit conversation. Exit conversation now. Stop.
There was
cancel.
Someone did posted screenshots from like a Facebook group that's called like how to delete my account. And like every single thread and like post in there, and there's thousands of them. It's just the most brain dead, like, who added me? How do I leave? Delete account. Just posting delete account into like the text box of a group called how to delete my account. That's just like, you see someone post like that and you're like, what can you do to stop them being like sucked down like a misinformation rabbit hole?
What can you do to stop them emptying their bank account to literally the first you have not paid your e-toll they receive? Like, honestly.
There's literally like, there's a whole section of I'm not saying that there aren't people in all generations who fall victim to this stuff. But there's just a section of the population you've got to write off when it comes to anything involving technology. And that it will remain an issue for the next 30 years.
But maybe that's better. Like they can just talk to a bot.
Maybe that's what Zuck's thinking. He's like, all right, these people are getting victimized daily.
Just get
by random pictures they see.
Ensure that they're just in the bot ecosystem.
Just like, that's probably the great solution. It's like, people are getting radicalized. There's no way to solve it. Let's just palm them off to a bot. They can think it's like their niece who's messaged them randomly. Yeah. And they can post their heart's content and get like mild affirmations in response.
Yeah.
Like, that's a really interesting idea, Julie.
I have to admit, like I was talking using my voice in the car to the ChatGPT like voice thing, and I was like asking it about like vague business concepts or whatever, and I was like, give me an example of this concept, and then it came back with an example, and I'm like, yeah, but wouldn't this be a better? And they're like, that's a really insightful point, and I have to admit, I felt a little bit of dopamine.
Oh, they don't know. Honestly, I've done it a few times when I've asked for like an explanation of something. And then I've tried to recontextualize it and been like, so in this instance, would this mean that?
Yeah, exactly.
And then it comes back with you've like hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
You're just like, yeah.
The human, we love it, folks.
We just need someone to say you're kicking goals, mate.
If you're listening to this, did you know there's another world out there where you get a second episode of Down Round a week?
Yep, it's called Down Round Premium.
That's right, and there's no interruptions.
No interruptions, no ads, 2 episodes a week, including the free one you're getting right now, plus another one.
Yep, $7 a month, not a week, a month, downround.net. Downround.net, instant access to the whole back catalogue as well. You've got so much to catch up on.
There's so much. Get around it.